When talking about APIs and API testing, HTTP status codes and methods are the backbone. So understanding both of these concepts are very important. If you're new here, my name is the Test Lead, and I make content to help you on your software testing journey. Today's topic, HTTP status codes and methods. Let's talk about the HTTP methods that you'll be using to make requests. For RESTful APIs, the main methods include get, post, put, delete, and patch. Get, used to retrieve data from a server. For example, me requesting a list of users or a specific user's data. That's a get call. I'm retrieving information. I'm not changing anything. Post, used to send data to the server, often resulting in the creation of new resources. So when I'm posting something, I'm creating new data and wherever the server is located at. So let's say I'm signing up on a company's email list. I'm putting my information in for the first time to this company. When I press the sign up or save button, it's gonna get my information and send that request as a post request. Put, used to update an existing resource on a server. So now let's say I already have a profile on the website, but I'm updating my address or phone number. I'll put in my changes and press send. Now that's going to be a put request and update that information on the server. Patch, similar to put, but used for partial updates instead of replacing the entire resource. It updates on specific fields. So now let's say there's a bunch of fields for my profile, but I just want to update one or two. Instead of doing a full put request, it'll do a smaller patch request. So think of patch as a smaller version of a put request, but both are updating that user's information. Delete, used to delete a specified resource. Now let's say I don't shop on this website anymore, so I'm deleting my account. When I delete my account, my information no longer exists on the server. I explained previously what APIs were, but in short, APIs are a way for two pieces of software to communicate. So when that first piece of software sends their request and the second piece of software gets it, they respond with a message and a status code. That status code signifies details about the response. Here's a breakdown. We're going to start with the 100 series informational. These are honestly rarely used. 100, continue, indicates that part of the request has been received and the client should continue with the request. 101, switching protocols, indicates that the server is switching to a different protocol as requested by the client. Next we have the 200 series, which is very common. These codes indicate that the request was successfully processed. 200 OK, the request was successful and the server returned the requested data. 201, created, a new resource was created as a result of the request. This usually happens with post request. 204, no content. The request was processed successfully, but there is no content to send back. This often happens with delete request. Next we have the 300 series redirection. These also aren't that common. These codes suggest that the client needs to take additional actions to complete the request. 301, moved permanently. The requested resource has been moved to a new URL permanently. 302, found. the resource is temporarily located at a different URL. 304, not modified. The resource hasn't been modified since the last request, prompting the client to use cached data. Now we have the 400 series, which is common like the 200 series. Most oftenly, you'll see 200 series, 400, and sometimes 500. The 400 series codes indicate issues with the client's request. 400 bad request. The server cannot understand the request due to invalid syntax, meaning you sent bad syntax or bad wording in your request to the other piece of software. 401 unauthorized. The request requires authentication. 403 forbidden. The client is authenticated but doesn't have permission to access the resource. 404 not found. The requested resource cannot be found on the server. 429 too many requests. The client has sent too many requests in a short period, indicating rate limiting. And last but not least, we have the 500 series, which signals there was a problem on the server side, or software 2 in our example. So software 1 did everything right, but when the information got to software 2, there was a problem on their side. 500 internal server error. The server encountered an unexpected condition. 502 bad gateway. The server received an invalid response from an upstream server. 503 service unavailable. The server is currently unavailable, often due to maintenance or overload. 504 gateway timeout. The server did not receive a timely response from an upstream server. So those were all the status codes that you'll see when making an API request. Now, let's quickly go through testing with API status codes and methods. Get test. They should verify the GET request, retrieve the correct data, and return a 200 OK. You should also include negative test. So with GET request, let's say we know that this company has this specific user. If I get that user ID, it should come back with the user information and with the status code 200. Post test. Ensure that post request create resources and return 201 created or 200 success. So for this, I should fill out a form or some of that nature to create a post request. Then once submitted, I should check the database to make sure that everything I submitted, my post request, is actually being shown in the database properly. Next, for put and patch, I should create a request that updates the data that I just sent previously and make sure that after the request is completed, the information is actually updated in the database. And last but not least, delete. Delete should return the status code 204. And once calling delete, I should check the database to make sure that that item was actually deleted.